Hello, everybody. So my name is David Monias. I'm your host today, and I'm also going to introduce my co-host, Karen Swain. It is going to
Again,
switch over.
everyone.
Awesome. And then I guess we'll get started really shortly. And again, I always like to start off with a land acknowledgement. We are on Treaty 1 territory, land of the Anishinaabe, Cree, and Ojibwe. We always like to just remind people of that. It's just something to think about, and it's lovely, and I'm glad to be here. With that said, was there anything else, any other opening remarks you have, Karen?
I want to also add my welcome and my acknowledgement for our land and our waters, and let people know that this is our wonderful opportunity to have that community time that we're all missing. COVID has come about and made it so like we can't get together as often as we used to. So this is a great opportunity to share a meal together, to cook and learn, to build that community, and just have that community connection that we're all missing. So I'm really happy to see a lot of familiar faces, and I'm happy to welcome all of the new people that are coming. And I also want to let you know that our session is being recorded. It will be edited and posted to Facebook. So if those that want to cook this meal in the future, they'll be able to jump on and watch that YouTube. Should a child pop up in the camera or talk or share, we'll either blur the face or put a little cute emoji in front of that child's face for that privacy. So just wanting to give you a heads up on that. Thanks.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And with that said, we can get straight into it. We are a little bit short on time. It's not really, but so one thing's first, I'm going to switch over to my overhead. I have gone ahead and pre-cut my ham. I don't know if you guys noticed, it was about like this much more. Just for the sake of the fact that I'm alone here. I also want to make sure I cook enough here, and it actually is kind of cooked by the end of the show, hopefully. So I'm cutting it there. If you wanted to do that, you could. One person I've already asked in the pre-show or the pre-show questions was that you can kind of save this, and these are freshly cooked and they're freshly smoked and they'll be fully cooked, just a heads up. So even if you wanted to throw them in the microwave, if you have one, that's a great option there. But yeah, I'm just cutting it down because it's just me here. And I wanted to make it happen. But first things first, I have my oven preheated to 350. If you want to do that right now, you can. And I'm going to stick mine into one of these guys. And it's one of these. And we're going to put it right over here. Again, mine's smaller. We're going to kind of, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a quick rinse. It's not necessary. Oops. It's not necessary, but it's a good practice, I think. And I'm just going to dab it clean, and we're going to add a little bit of water. So if you have a measuring cup, please grab it now. And yeah, and don't sweat the fact that I only just now told you that to preheat it at 350. I'm doing mine a little bit ahead of the game because I only have another 50 minutes to kind of cook it. So at least you guys are home and you can have a little bit more time. So I'm going to quickly rinse this. Mine is, pardon the noise.
While David's doing that, I just want to let you know that the hams that we ordered are between 3 and 5 pounds each. They are fully cooked and smoked, so it's a matter of reheating them. And typically to reheat the ham, it takes about 20 minutes per pound. So you'll notice that David has that little bit of a handful of ham, so it'll probably take about 20 minutes to half an hour.
So and like I said earlier, I'm going to be adding about 1 cup of water, and you'll get to see it with my tiny, tiny, tiny measuring cup here. And I'm just going to put a little bit of moisture in here. And that's just to kind of do that. And I made sure to kind of use hotter water just because you don't want to be doing that. And I did actually kind of give away some nicer pans, which you may see. We have some of these, and some families receive gifts like this. I think everybody did, but those are a lot safer to use. One thing to know, if you are going to use, a metal, or I mean not metal, a glass container like this, please don't add water midway through. It has to probably be the same temperature, just because if you put like cold water on here while it's cooking, it'll just shatter and we'll have a big mess, and that'll be really hard to clean up. So be careful of that. And with that said, you can either throw it in like this, or we can put some tin foil over it. And pardon me, my tin foil is not open, I guess. So I'm gonna have to take a second to kind of remove that adhesive. Apologies for that. And then one thing I also wanted to mention today too was that a few of these recipes that we're trying, the scallop ham and the Rice Krispies, is something I haven't done in like recent years. So you may see me kind of struggle here and there. If you have any awesome tips for me, please drop it in there or let us know, because I actually really appreciate that kind of stuff. And I'm very fine with not being, oh, that's quite loud. I'm quite fine with not knowing entirely what I'm doing, because that's how we learn. The first step at being good at something is sucking at something. And we all get better with practice. And that's going straight into the oven. And we'll see this at the end of the class. Be careful, it's very hot. You probably don't want to keep it open for too long. And yeah. This can be put away. And we're going to get straight into our scalloped potatoes. Guess I'm going to be putting it into this one. Or should I be using a deeper dish? What do you think, Karen?
Use the nonstick.
This one?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm going to use this one today then. Thank you. So first things first, I already pre-cut a lot of my stuff. So you'll see me kind of pre-cut a lot of my things here. And I'm just going to put this off to the side. And I actually prepared a big bowl with water in it. And I kind of cut my potatoes into, I peeled them and I cut my potatoes into kind of like little coins. And the reason why I put them in water is just kind of get some of that starch off, as well as also kind of to keep them that freshness, because they tend to kind of like brown pretty quickly when not submerged. And I'm going to just about.
Remember to grease your pan.
Oh yeah,
Remember
but
to
I'm
grease your pan.
I'm also going to pour this out.
Hi. Is somebody
Hi.
talking? Someone have a question?
Do we have a question there?
I don't think so.
Hi. Sorry, I have to mute myself.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah, I just put myself in about 4 minutes. Like, you can go there like pretty early and I can't have to warm down. So, but yeah, it's all in the oven.
Excellent.
Karen,
Mhm.
this may be a simple. Oh, no worries. This may be a silly question. It'd be okay to grease my pan with butter, right?
Yep. Yeah, I would definitely use butter for
And you can even just spread it on the way I am kind of doing it. Or if you have a kind of a paper towel, I don't today. I should really buy some, to be honest, though. You can kind of just smear it on a little bit like the way I am. Almost kind of like you're buttering a bread or like toast. And I'm just going to get a little bit, a good amount on here, just so I can make sure none of this stuff sticks. And that should be good. And from what I understand from this recipe, which is the scalloped potatoes, is that we're going to be layering a lot of our pieces here. So I'm gonna have it myself have a seat here. Apologies for the bump there. And we're just gonna be putting a lot of these little coins here, and we're just gonna put them down. And we're gonna be kind of layering things today. So you may see, depending on how much space I have, I may or may not add some more potatoes. I end up using, my potatoes were quite small, as you can kind of see. I think I use about like 6 to 9 of them. So feel free to use some same amount there, or whatever is relative to your family size. Here you go. We have it, almost our first layer kind of there. And you can kind of even fill in some pieces if you really want. Yeah.
That looks great.
Make it look nice and lovely. Oop, I think that's my phone. Maybe I should. Oh, that's on our side. Okay. If you heard that ding, apologies. It's our cameraman, Chris. The call out. Just kidding. So we're just gonna put a nice even layer. And that should be good right there. And from what I remember from the recipe, because again, this is something brand new, and Karen can correct me if I am wrong, is that we are going to be adding a little bit of our onions, and we're going to be kind of layering them on. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, we can layer the onion, do it to the preference of your family. If you want to use a little bit more, or a stronger yellow onion, you can do that too. There's so many variations for this recipe that you can Google and never do the same recipe twice.
Yeah, it's almost like that shepherd's pie recipe that we did a couple weeks back, where a lot of people were like, wow, this is brand new. Even though like every family has their own kind of shepherd's pie recipe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one thing, again, I noted it before, but just in case you guys, I did kind of pre-chop a lot of my stuff. So if we end up going too fast, please let us know. And we can kind of slow down and make sure we're answering questions and supporting you along the way. And again, here's a little prompt from our cameraman, Chris, is whenever you guys show us your photos or you put things on Facebook or anywhere, please use the hashtag food as medicine. We want to blow that up, bring some attention to the program, and just do some great things. And with that said, I do have a little bit of onions there. And from what I remember, and again, Karen can remind me, is that I'm going to be putting some of our garlic as well, correct?
If you want that garlicky taste, definitely use it. The seasonings is optional. I would encourage you to use salt and pepper for sure. And the garlic adds a really nice
I like
flavor.
garlic with my potatoes. It's just And then again, I did pre-cut them, but I did them really small. You can actually use them a lot smaller. You can use a garlic press, anything to kind of get that flavor separated and sorted in here. So I'm just going to put a little bit more. And like she said, salt and pepper are the way to go. But just because this one's going to be for me and what I eat, I'm going to be using, overhead camera, please. I'm going to be using some seasoning salt. Realistically, this is not too much different from salt. It does have some extra ingredients, kind of like sugar and spices, onion powder, stuff like that. Those are all really up to you on how much you want to use. But, oh, this stuff is already coming out a little bit. And again, I like just putting a little bit on here in the cap. I'm just gonna kind of lightly do that. And then what we do is we kind of put it at a little bit of a height up here, just so we can kind of get that even spread. And if you really want to be living on the edge, you can kind of do it straight from the shaker. But just be mindful of how much you put. You don't want to have like a mouthful of salt. Unless you like that, by all means do it. And again, I have some pepper here. gonna do exact same thing. I'm just gonna put a little bit of that all over. And then I believe we had some other seasonings. I think some of the stuff that went out before was possibly some bouillon stuff like this. If you really wanted to, I think these can go on there. Isn't that correct, Karen?
Sure, if you want, you can use the chicken bouillon.
Was it added into our the recipe that we put out?
It was listed in the ingredients.
Mhm.
I may have missed it in the step, but yeah, if you want to put any seasoning, you totally can add. Because you want to do it to your family's preference.
Yeah, I'm only going to use a little bit just because I know this stuff can be quite potent. Like this is meant for like stock. So it's going to be very, very strong. So I'm only going to use just a tiny little bit just to kind of give that chicken flavor. And we're just going to put a little bit over here and there. Nothing too crazy.
That looks great.
And again, everybody please trust the process. It will taste great. I know that for a fact. I've eaten it. I've never made it myself though. So, and then we're going back over here. And from what I remember, we're just going to be putting another layer of potatoes over it. Is that correct?
And just layer them up and you can overlap. They look so neat and tidy. Mine never looked neat and tidy like that.
Oh, I just got to do that for the show. If I was at home, I'd just be like I'm dealing crazy 8 cards.
It looks fantastic.
Or Uno cards. And we're just going to be throwing them on there. Again, like Karen said, if you want to just be a little bit messy, you can. There's nothing wrong with that. Just plop them all in there. And
oh, and we had a thank you, David, for the tip about not adding cold water to the ham pan. And oh, Jennifer says it looks so good.
thank you.
And Bunny, who is Jamie, says you're doing a great job walking us through the process. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. See, it makes me so confident when I hear that, especially when it's the first time, right? Sometimes we learn together. And
do we put butter on the layer of the potatoes between layers?
pardon?
You can.
Do we put
yes,
butter
you
between
can.
the layers?
Yeah, I would
Yes,
do
you
it.
can.
Okay.
So we have to layer the butter on there.
You can put the butter under or on top. We do have a really good base greasing the pan.
I don't fit onion.
Okay.
Onion. I don't know. I do not onion.
Yeah, between layers.
All right, awesome. And then I finally have some there. And then
on them.
we have some little ones speaking. No worries, it's just the little ones. And again, it's really optional. I'm just gonna throw another layer of some seasoning. Not too option. This one's gonna be a lot lighter just because I did cake it on with the middle layer. Again, optional. I just know what I like. And again, if you have tinfoil, I'd probably use it. I imagine you can probably even throw it in like just as is. If you don't have tinfoil. And we're just going to cover this. Isn't that
Before
correct?
you do that, David, before
Pardon?
you do that, you need to put the milk in.
Oh my goodness, I would have not did that. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for letting me know. Oh my goodness.
You don't
That
have
should be
to,
about 1 cup, right? Or a couple cups worth?
you're going to watch your pan. When you start to see the milk peeking through, then you're going to stop.
Oh, okay. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna put 1 cup's worth, and then we're gonna follow that tip. So I don't want to pour any more than I need to. So again, it's just probably gonna be the beginning layer. And if you see it peeking through, like she said, then that's when we know to stop.
Yeah, you're probably going to need a little bit more.
Oh, okay. Karen. Because you said so, I'm gonna put, I'm just gonna go, I'm gonna live on the edge and go straight from the carton.
So it's kind of like your cereal. When you have a bowl of cereal, you want it to, the milk to kind of peek through.
Kind of like this almost.
Yes. So there you go.
I love
The bowl
potato
of cereal is
cereal.
a perfect analogy for us because I totally knew what you meant by that.
Yeah, you're good, David.
Thank you. And then now can I put it in?
Yes, now please cover it with the foil and put it in the
Good
oven.
catch, good catch. I bet you everybody's like, why is he showing us? Just kidding. Anyways, we're gonna just measure and put up to size. And we're just gonna really kind of make sure this stuff sticks on here. Pardon me, and pardon all the noise. Covered one side, and I'm gonna do one more. Should be about right there. We're just gonna place that over, and again, we're just gonna kind of pull in the sides and crumple it up. And we're doing good about time. So I'm gonna throw this on in, and I'll see you there. Hello. My oven's quite big, so fortunately I can kind of fit it into the side here. Be careful not to pull off the tin foil of the other one. And we're just gonna let that sit there.
Awesome. And Phoebe's letting us know that her home smells so good. And
Ooh.
she made breaded chicken in place of the ham. And
Wow.
she's going to do some Brussels sprouts also. So that sounds delicious.
That does. And I'm just gonna quickly clean up my space here. I'm just gonna put some things off to the side. Just because we're gonna work on those Rice Krispie cakes right away. And I believe I'm done with my knife, so I'm gonna put those guys away too.
Mhm.
And again, you're gonna have to forgive me. This is also gonna be a new recipe for myself, even though it's gonna be quite an easy one. One of the families mentioned earlier, a lot of the young one kind of did a lot of the work today.
So the recipe that was provided for the Rice Krispie Squares came right from ricekrispies.ca. So if you lose it, just Google Rice Krispies and you'll be able to find that recipe right away.
Okay, we're gonna get one of our saucepans if I know where they are. Oh, they're over here. Today, I guess we're gonna be doing the over stovetop way. Realistically, you could probably do it through the microwave if you're not confident, or if any of the young ones want to do it. I believe we are going to be using quite a bit of margarine here. Isn't that correct?
The recipe calls for a 1/4 cup.
1/4 cup. So maybe I should get myself a 1/4 cup. Is it asking for a wet measure or a dry measure? Do you know?
It says 50 milliliters. So a good dollop anyway.
Okay. Maybe I'll just eyeball it today. So 15 millimeters. Do I have that on
Oh,
here?
and Jamie says butter is considered wet. So use your wet measurement.
Okay, I will. Ooh. I love learning with you guys. So how much did you say? 150?
They said a 1/4 cup.
Okay. So yeah, like you said, quite a wallop. It's gonna be a little bit hard for
Oh, Jennifer said the recipe's also in the box.
Unfortunately, I don't think the boxes went out. I think they all received just a plain bag like this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because we bought the family packs that can have like 2 bags like that. So this is a little bit too much. So I'll just use a bit of that, cut off that much, put that away. And we're going to be putting about that much from what I understand. We're just going to put this over here. And just like the recipe says, we are going to put this over the oven. And I'm just going to put it at a low heat for now, just because I am by myself. And I do want to be safe. And I'm actually going to steal this Rice Krispie recipe and put it on my wall over here.
Right on.
So again, I own up to the fact that I'm not familiar with this recipe, but I'm always willing to try and challenge myself, as should you. I really believe in you and all the cool stuff you guys do. Cool. And then we're going to be adding some marshmallows as well. That is going to be this one. We can get the overhead here working. There you go. As you can see, I stole a few already. That's okay if you do as well.
What's the measurement on the bag, David?
On this bag, we have 400 grams worth.
Okay, so the recipe is calling for a 250-gram package. So if you're going
So
to use them
approximately
all,
half of this, right?
yeah, a little more than half. But if you're going to use them all, add a little bit more margarine.
Okay. Maybe I will. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more. Thank you, Carrot. Yeah, I know. I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to turn this up. It's not melting as much as I want. I'm going to put it at medium high. See how that goes.
And then the pan that you were going to use for the ham, the shallow one, is the one you can use for the square.
Awesome. Perfect.
And then you'll need to grease it up a little bit too with the butter.
Mm-hmm. So maybe I'll do that right now while that's melting. Correct? Yes.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm. Again, we're just going to put a little bit there. We're going to mix it on just very lightly, because I imagine you don't want as much as this. I might even kind of dab it with the paper towel or anything like that. Just really make sure it's up, kind of smooth up there. So how are people coming along? How are they liking some of the stuff? Is it smelling good in your homes?
Yeah. Okay, and Melanie is saying that she's not able to stay the whole class, and that's okay, Melanie. We're going to be posting the whole video to YouTube, and when you get a chance, you'll be able to watch it. But I hope the recipe steps are clear. Okay.
And I hope you have a great Easter long weekend. Take care. In case I don't get to say bye later.
Is it getting nice and?
So my butter is kind of getting really melted, which is nice. Or my margarine, I should say. Keep that on, maybe put a little bit higher. And I'm going to sneak one of these because I love these.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm. Traditionally speaking, when we're cooking for other people, we wouldn't be eating a lot of our own food because it's probably not a good idea to have your hands near your face while cooking. That's more of like a health safety tip than anything. And then with that saying, this is almost melted. How soon do you think I should put in the marshmallows?
Maybe break up that big chunk and then go ahead and add them.
Okay, cool.
Hey, David, it's Jen.
Hi.
Hey, so yeah, whenever I've made them in the past, I start to add it as like the butter starts to melt, and then it all becomes nice and gooey, and it's good. I just add a little bit of Rice Krispies at a time once I get a kind of melted mixture of the butter and the marshmallow.
Nice. So I can probably throw in some now?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. We're
Great.
just going to
Thanks.
launch them all in there.
Yeah, and if it helps too, like if you have bigger ones too, sometimes it helps if you want to rip them up, but you don't have to. They'll melt eventually with the right heat, so you're good to
Okay.
go.
Well, that's actually a really good idea. I'm gonna rip them now then. Okay.
Sounds good.
That looks great.
And one thing to note too, when I went shopping for these, I had to clear out the shells at one of the superstores that I went to. So some of you guys might have the mini marshmallows, some of you might have the jumbos. If that's the case, hearing that one tip of ripping them up is probably a good idea for you if you have the jumbos. Oh, this one doesn't want to get rid of. There you go. Again, we're just going to rip them all up. And we're just going to get them all in there. And you-
Or not Rice Krispies, or yeah, maybe. Oh, I wanted to make it with Jaden. Tough wheat. Oh, make it tough wheat then. I'll help. Yeah.
And like Karen said earlier, because I'm going to be using a lot of mine, keep in mind how much you have. It's like if you have more, add some more butter. If not, no worries. I'm just going to put this to the side. And while I'm doing this, Karen, did you have anything to say? Like I know we have a little piece talked about the idea of Easter and what it means.
Okay, and it's okay to keep the camera on, David. I don't mind talking behind. But we recognize that our families have different beliefs, and many of us acknowledge the Easter holiday as family time and a chance to have a meal together and express gratitude. I know we had talked about the spring equinox a couple weeks ago and how spring represents that new beginning and that fresh growth. But we know that there are families that do acknowledge the story of Christ and the resurrection, and all of those things that he had done during the Passover week. And it is important to them to acknowledge that part of this weekend. So I think it's really wonderful, whatever people want to celebrate and share with their families and being together. And we also want to acknowledge too that not every family will eat ham for a meal, and we're grateful when families let us know that they do have some diet restrictions, or there was someone with a milk allergy. So we appreciate that feedback, and we do try to accommodate. And we also recognize that some people have the Easter Bunny visit their home too. So we were happy to
Yes, they're
provide
not-
some
they have-
Easter eggs for the families, and hope that nobody gets too sugared up by them, but everybody enjoys that little bit of chocolate that you're able to have. Family time is really important, and as I mentioned before, especially with COVID, it's challenging to get out and go to a restaurant with people unless you live with them and have an ID that proves that you live with them. So that makes it really difficult. I know our travel plans this weekend were derailed because we wouldn't have been able to do anything because we don't share the same household. But I see that our marshmallows are getting nice and ooey gooey.
Yeah, they are. I had to turn down the heat just to kind of keep them ooey gooey. So that's just okay. They look great though. And I'm just kind of mushing them around because I did notice, because mine was a little bit warm, that they were kind of toasting, almost kind of like marshmallows over a fire. And we probably don't want that. I'm sure they taste great, but probably want that nice consistency. And thank you so much for that. Kind of just that like acknowledgement of like some families kind of do things a little bit differently. Maybe even just treat it as strictly family time. Some might have like other religions associated with the time. And whatever it is, it's okay. We encourage all families of different backgrounds to come and participate with us. Oh, and it's looking pretty good. Don't you think, Karen?
It is. And once it's kind of smooth, I think, and if Jennifer's still here to jump in, if you don't have too many thick chunks in there, it may be okay to start adding your Rice Krispies in.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can add just a little bit at a time, and then because it will start to get kind of hard to move around. So that's why I go a little bit at a time, and then just like maybe a cup at a time if you can kind of eyeball it. You don't have to do it like cup by cup, but I find that once you start to mix it, it starts to kind of capture all that gooiness, and then it stops it from burning too. So I find that it's good to start adding the Rice Krispies at this point.
Okay. You think I should?
Yeah, the chunks will eventually start to melt too if you keep it on the same
Sweet.
heat.
Yeah, they're kind of already melting. I'm
Nice.
just gonna
And
mute
then-
while I rip open this bag.
Perfect. And if there are chunks left, nobody's mad about finding a nice extra big chunky part of marshmallow in their bite. So it's always a good part.
So
Awesome.
you might have that residual heat too, that you could maybe turn the element off or lower.
Yeah, I have it quite lowered at this point.
Perfect. Yeah, some people turn it off or turn it low, and then if it starts to kind of get hard to move, you can turn it back up again.
All right. So you said just throw it in the Rice Krispies?
Yeah, just a little bit at a time. I would say, yeah, about a cup at a time. You can even do a little bit more than that, and then just start mixing it around, just as it will start to thicken.
So a cup at a time. So I'm gonna grab one of those.
Yeah. That's always easy.
And while
They're so
you're
tiny,
doing-
right? So mixes
Again,
fine.
I'm putting mine right here, but please keep in mind I have a second person kind of watching. So if anything crazy happens, we'll have an idea. But if you're working at home, please don't put things on your oven. Especially, I know these are all off, but just be careful. I always try to tell people.
So we
I'd
did
love
have
for you
a
to have-
question.
Oh, someone
Um,
has a question?
Jordan is using the whole package of marshmallows, and yes, Jordan, I would increase the butter a little bit. So maybe to a third of a cup.
So yeah, I was gonna say too. So you can kind of mix, like add add more butter as you add more marshmallows, and it will depend on the consistency you want. Some people want those like super gooey, super like easy to pull apart Rice Krispie Squares, where some people might want them a bit drier. So depending on what you want, you just add a little bit less or a little bit more butter and a little bit more marshmallows.
Good point. Thank you.
You're such a pro.
That looks great.
I make a lot of dessert.
Oh, do you?
I gotta
Yeah,
satisfy
desserts
my
are-
sweet tooth.
Breakfast is my jam. I love making breakfast for people.
Which is exciting. So eventually we're gonna tackle breakfast for dinner, which will be really nice.
I used to run a kids breakfast program where I used to feed like something like 40 kids every Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's how much I love it. And I'm just gonna add a bit more because I'm assuming we'll need to, right? Correct?
Yeah. You have a good
Glad I
sized
have two
pan there
mentors
too.
on call today.
You have a good sized pan there too. So like pretty much if you fill that pan and it still is like pretty easy to move around, yeah, that should be enough to fill your cake pan afterwards. It's about
Okay,
roughly the
cool.
same size.
It's starting to look like the Rice Krispie Squares.
Awesome.
Yeah, I didn't realize how easy this was. I've
Yeah, you can even make it in the microwave. You just kind of have to keep going back and forth. So on the stove's
really?
a bit faster, but
my
the microwave
cameraman Chris
also...
is laughing at me. He is.
When I was in high school, we had a kitchen and I always made Rice Krispie Squares in the microwave for everybody. It was fun.
Oh, that's awesome. Gonna add some more here.
And I think that really awesome
I think it's
pan
buttercup.
you have with the
Oh, half a cup.
nonstick really makes a difference too.
I didn't catch that. What were you saying?
I was saying that the pan you have with the awesome nonstick makes it a lot easier.
Oh, okay. I'm glad. If I tried making this home on my not so good pans, I would. It'd be a nightmare.
Yeah, it's definitely a sticky recipe.
Right, Cameron, Chris? This is a judgment-free zone. Exactly. And if for those who didn't hear, he just said, we all have to start somewhere. What do you think of this, Jen? Should I bring it closer to the camera there?
Yeah, maybe bring it a little bit closer. Let me just take a look at it. It looks pretty good. So the good thing about, yeah, that looks great. So that's a really good amount. I would say that's a good stickiness. So what you do now is you pop it in the pan, you kind of smooth it out, and then you can let it chill, or just let it chill for a while. And then eventually once it sets, I would give it like about an hour or so. You can give it a little bit longer. The longer you let it set, the more hard it gets. So I always can't wait, and I eat it really fresh while it's super gooey about an hour later, but you can even let it sit till the next day, and it'll get a little stiffer if you cover it with plastic. But it will still be great for a while.
Cool. So with that said, we're just gonna plop all of this in there then.
For sure.
Nice. This is lovely.
And
I
I
gotta
did,
start making this more often at home.
Yeah,
It's
it's such a fun,
super
easy
quick.
treat.
I did see one of the family's photos where they had chopped up some of the chocolate eggs that were in your packages and used that as a topping.
That's such a good idea. I was totally thinking
Yeah.
about that because I love mini eggs so much. That's such a good topping.
So with that said, I'm just gonna try to get this all nice and smooth. It's gonna be a little bit harder, but that's okay. Maybe I should grab myself a butter knife.
Yeah, I find that if another way too, if you have parchment paper or tin foil, you can kind of take like a hand-sized piece and just use your hand to push it down and smooth it out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's another way that I found is a little bit easier, because sometimes the spatula just gets so clumped up, and same with the knife.
Yeah, I see that. Again, learning.
Yeah, it's a fun one, but it takes a little bit of
So you said
maneuvering.
hand size portion for this.
Yeah, I find, and then you can just grease it. I mean, your Rice Krispie should be pretty greasy, but if you put a little butter on the backside of that tin foil or parchment, it will make it easy to smooth it around on the top.
Ooh,
Mhm.
okay. I'll do that then. Hopefully you folks can do that with me today. I have some of that butter knife here. I'm just going to use a little bit of that. We're just going to spread it on here, just like Jen said. By the way, when we were doing those opening acknowledgements of like the folks who put in so much hard work into behind the scenes, that's one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're camera ready, but did you want to say hi?
I actually look like an absolute like swamp witch right now, so I'm probably gonna stay off camera.
Maybe not now then, but for those
But
who
next
are
week, I
not
promise,
familiar,
I'll make an appearance.
Year end is brutal, I tell you.
yeah,
I'll tell you. So I think someone just put in the chat, I think it was Alicia, she said you can also margarine the back of a spoon to smooth it out that way too. That's a great way to do it too.
ooh,
Great tip.
Yeah.
So I do want to let us know that we're at about the 10-minute mark.
Awesome.
I don't know if I'm doing this correctly.
And you know,
My cameraman Chris is having a field day today. He's just
He's
laughing. I can see him red. He's laughing. Don't worry. He's just hiding
I know
it. He's
it's
trying
very
not to hurt my
sticky.
feelings.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try Alicia's.
You could try that way too if that's
suggestion.
easier. Yeah.
and
Or
it's
maybe I'll try
totally
with my
okay
butter.
by itself the way it is too.
Yeah, I'm just gonna use the butter knife that's already buttered.
Yeah. It
Oh,
doesn't
that
have
actually
to,
works.
doesn't have to be pretty.
That actually works really well. Oh my goodness. Oh, spoke too soon. But again, we're just smoothing it out.
Oh yeah. There you go. It's coming
Ooh.
along.
So who here is a Rice Krispie king or queen or royalty? So apparently I'm not. I'm still kind of learning. I'll get there one day. Oh, now it's starting to look pretty nice.
There you
I don't know
go.
how well you can see that on our overhead camera, but
It looks
Oh.
great.
yeah. Put that there.
Awesome. Thanks,
Oh.
Chris.
There's the hashtag food is medicine.
Yeah, that's our hashtag, food as medicine. So if you're putting it on Facebook, use that hashtag. If you're putting it on Instagram or anything like that, please do it there as well. We
Awesome.
love to see it. Send it to us. And as we approach our time, I'm just going to quickly chat about our social media. Actually, I'm going to stand up just because I'm framed a little bit better. So our social media is, our Twitter is FNFAOMB. It's on there. Facebook is First Nations Family Advocate. Instagram is just FNFAO. But with that said, there's not much time. Again, depending on how long you're cooking your stuff for, depending how thick it is. The things about the scalloped potatoes is that you want it to have be kind of golden brown, but also easy to kind of pierce with your fork. Am I correct?
Yes, it'll start to bubble. And then when you can pierce it with a fork and it's nice and soft, you can take the foil off, put a little bit of cheese, let it bake a little bit more, even put it under the broiler. We also want to make sure that you save your ham bone. You can freeze it. We've included some dry split peas for you to make soup, and the recipe is on page 4, or you can Google one as well. So there's a lot that you can do with this week's ingredients. Your leftover ham, you can even have it for lunch or for breakfast tomorrow. It fries
Microwave
up
it.
really well. Yeah, sandwiches or in your eggs, or yeah, there's so
Awesome.
many different things you can do.
That sounds delicious. I was just thinking too, if you wanted to go ahead and you end up eating all your ham tonight, you can just throw that bone in a pot with the split pea recipe that we provided, and use the rest of your onion maybe that you didn't use for your potatoes, and then you can pretty much get some split pea soup that will last you the rest of the week for some good leftovers. Split pea soup also freezes really well, so you can put that in the freezer and then just defrost it, and it's good to eat for the week and throw it in a pot.
Hi.
We're
Hi,
just
folks.
we're just seeing all the
cycling.
families. We're happy to have you join us.
Hi. Happy to see everybody smiling.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
And with that said, I think we're coming close up on time. So again, if you didn't hear that earlier, just want to check if it's bubbling. You want to make sure things are just tender when you poke it with a fork for your scalloped potatoes. Don't forget to add your cheese. We added shredded cheese, so add it in there, serve it up. Let this cool for a couple hours and it'll be great and nice, just like how the stores are. And of course, for the ham, just make sure it's cooked all the way through. If you wanted to eat it a little bit sooner, you could probably even pull it out, like slice it up and put it back in, or even microwave it if you want to. But yeah, with that said, I think make sure you share your photos with us. We have lots of programs coming up in the new year and everything like that. So please reach out to staff if you're working with us. If you're not working with the staff consistently, just reach out to our front desk and we'll connect you with somebody. And I really hope you have a really awesome, nice long weekend. And with that said, Karen, did you want to say goodbye as well?
Yes, just really enjoy this time. I think the weather is going to be a little bit nicer than it has been over the past few days. And get some rest and some sunshine and enjoy that family time. Thanks for coming and joining us, and see you next week.
Thank you so much. It's Jen here. I just wanted to say we love seeing your pictures and your feedback, and we're so grateful for everybody to join us. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and celebrate with your family and have a nice, relaxing time. And thanks, David and Karen. You're awesome.
Oh, you're awesome. You're our backbone.
It's the mayor of the village that takes to organize all of this. And
That's so sweet.
thanks again for getting our technology going, and yeah, all you do.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great night, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you to make it this beautiful food.